What is going on, y'all? KM Best here, and a card that I never expected to cover on the channel has been tearing up Infinite Ladder. That's right, Crossbones. This is the list that has been moving around the top of Infinite Ladder, and it features Crossbones, a card that widely regarded as one of the absolute worst cards in the entire game of Marvel Snap. It is a move deck that is built to be a little bit heavier than the typical move decks now that Kitty and Angela are not around. It is also a deck that is built to curve out a lot more, and I think the Crossbones inclusion in here is very, very, very clean, actually, because the move deck is so good at being ahead early, but being ahead early in a way that does not necessarily lock its power in the same lane. So, for example, you play Crossbones in a lane with Silk and Jeff in it, and neither the Silk nor the Jeff will end up in that lane at the end. You just have this big Crossbones holding it down there. That is a pretty compelling thing to me. Another thing this deck leverages quite powerfully is Vision and Alioth to put your opponent into checkmate situations, but most of what this deck does is just, here are a bunch of points, and then we play a big guy. We just play very fair Marvel Snap, and it's been a long time since there was a fair Marvel Snap deck out there. I brought Otion, who was the sort of creator of this list. He is a move one trick on ladder. He goes under the name Aya. I play him a lot. And so I wanted to get insight on the person who popularized the Crossbones list, because it was Otion via Lambie series. Otion brought it to Lambie. Lambie was like, yo, this is actually good. And now we're seeing it a ton of places. So I wanted to get Otion on the channel to get his insights on what I would describe as his baby. So we're going to jump right now into an interview with Otion, and I hope you learn everything you need to know about playing this exciting new Crossbones archetype. I am joined by Otion, who is a high-level Snap player under the name Aya. I play Infinite a lot of the time. So this list has been, I would say, his baby for probably 2 months. And it is a deck that I think he's played more than most other people. And now the Crossbones innovation, the addition of Crossbones, has made me legitimately all right, I have to talk to this guy, because winning games in High Infinite with Crossbones feels absolutely crazy to me. So, Otion, welcome to the show. Tell the people a little bit about who you are, and then we'll jump into some deck-based questions.
Yeah, my name is Otion. Marvel Snap is the first TCG I really, started playing. And yeah, I love playing Silk. I think she's a very fun card to play. And yeah, I think that's all I can say about myself right now.
All right, that's what you got. You love Silk, you like Marvel Snap, but Silk really the main draw here. Okay, so
The main draw, yes.
tell me about there are two things that really stick out to me here. The first is, okay, there's a Crossbones in the deck. And the second is, we are not a wave deck. So I'm going to start with the second of those, which is, we're not a wave deck. I know you were a huge wave move player. What made you move away from playing wave in this list?
Okay, so after Mobius's release, I kind of spent that day trying to figure out what my prior list would be with this new card coming out.
Yeah.
And I was really hesitant and stubborn to kind of move from my prior list, just because it was working so well for me. All the cards really just felt good and they worked really well with each other. So it kind of took me some time to drop a lot of the things happening. I think Wave was a clear out, just because I feel like everyone's playing for priority now, and playing Wave on turn 5 is a rolling dice whether they draw Mobius before then. So it's just,
Yeah.
I'd rather play a good card on turn 5 rather. So I think that's kind of, sorry, you were saying.
I was gonna say, because Vision is actually a card whose estimation I think has risen in my estimation just a ton, because of the ability to I'm going to move this power into the lane they Alioth, or I'm going to use this to set up for my own Alioth dominating, right? And so Vision pulling double duty on that has just been, in my limited experience here, absolutely awesome. So I get where you're coming from on that. I do also. I mean, we have to talk about it at some point, right? Like,
Yeah.
what's a Crossbones, man? What's going on?
Crossbones, I mean, it's a 4-8. We get
Okay,
that 4-8 every time. So it's like, I feel like the condition on it really isn't condition with this deck. We're just consistently getting a 4-8 on the board if, that's what we want to do.
okay.
And, just, I don't know if there's, I tried lad a bit. I didn't really like it. I thought it was a bit too high rolly for me. And, I mean, it's just a stats deck at the end of the day. We're trying to gain prio. We're trying to, keep the board intact. You know, that's kind of the direction I went with putting Crossbones. And I also remember watching Johnson versus Lambie, and that's the first time all of us really saw Crossbones work with move. And ever since that, it's been on my radar. And yeah,
So I think one of the things that sticks out to me about this deck specifically with Crossbones is it has such ability to be a be it you could be ahead in a lane without being committed to that lane with all of the cards that move, right? Like you could have like a Silk and a Jeff in a lane that allow you to play Crossbones, and then neither the Silk or the Jeff end up in that lane at the end of the game. And I think that is something that really sticks out to me about how this deck can use Crossbones, because most other decks you're investing in somewhere you're already ahead. This deck, because of the way the power moves around the board, you could just play a Crossbones and it's like, oh, that's actually just good, and I can move my power as I see fit while just playing this 4-8. I did want to ask though, what about Drax? Is Drax a contender here?
Drax.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Crossbones, dude. Like-
Yeah, but like, yeah, I don't know. Drax is crazy. I never thought about Drax. Drax, I mean, Drax can work. If you want
Yeah.
to take a guess every time at where the opponent plays, you can hit it with Drax, I guess.
I mean, I was thinking about the
Yeah.
Lad, right? But you said you already tried Lad. But Lad was like the first thing I was like, all right, okay, it's probably Lad. But then I also got to thinking, like, what if we just played a cheaper card here? What is it that makes you want the 4-cost big guy here? What metagame development made you want that?
I think it's just like let me think about that. That's a good question to be honest, because I haven't really thought about it that hard into consideration as to why I'm putting in Crossbones. It just works
Yeah,
for me.
sure. No, sometimes that's
I
enough.
feel like this whole deck, compared to most decks that are just this archetype in general, not this deck specifically, like the whole move
Mhm.
archetype and everything that's going on in it, like it's a lot of power early game. And like
Yeah,
before turn 5, you're really putting like just easy power. It's not like you're doing anything special. Like these are just stat cards, so I feel like it just adds to that. Like that's pretty much what this deck is. Once we put vision on the board turn 5, like we could really snowball everything. Snowball Raven, you know what I mean? We could set up
yeah.
5 and do all these things with it. So I feel like, just that idea of having something that holds a lane down and isn't like, half-assed like a Captain Marvel or like
Yeah.
a lad. I don't know what a lad's gonna hit. I'm not trying to have a lad hit, let's say Mobius or Chavez or Spider-Man or someone like
Silk.
that. Or Silk. Yeah, I'm good on that. I'm chilling on
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. I
Or
mean, we should
four-star
note
Silk.
there are a lot of good hits in here too, but yeah, I feel you.
There are, yes, there are as well, for sure.
Uh okay. So, moving on from the deck itself, the construction of the deck, getting into a little bit more of a meta discussion here. What matchups are you scared to see when you're queuing this up? What are the things you're like, "Oh god, this again," when you see it across the table from you?
Honestly, in Conquest, I feel like, the main things that I'm kind of like, I feel like for the most part, I'm kind of comfortable around most matchups. I think the most
Mhm.
things that I'm trying to stay away from maybe could be like a Brood Absman deck that
Yeah.
hits the nuts every round, because that be happening a lot. And I think Sauron Shuri is pretty tough. Can be pretty tough in good hands too. A good player can do some work with that deck.
Yeah.
And it's kind of a priority game at that point. And I think those two are really the main things that may give this deck a run for its money for sure.
It's interesting that you didn't mention Loki, because my experience has been, if they have Loki and you don't have Mobius, you get run over, right? And
Yeah, that's true.
like that is bad, right? Like it's not like a god awful matchup, but I feel like it shouldn't be favored unless you're a lot better than the people you're playing. I don't really know, but it's like there are multiple win conditions for Loki, and it's like, all right, if they do have the Mobius and we go collector Loki, that's still good enough. And if they don't have
Right.
the Mobius, they just die to the Loki, and it's like, yeah, a little bit,
No,
a little bit touch and
for
go for
sure.
me is sort of what it feels like. But it's interesting because I feel like there's just less Loki. Like people are just like, I'm not doing that
Yeah,
anymore.
I feel like there's less low key, and I also feel like I don't know. I feel like it's really tough to. I feel like this whole Mobius like entering the meta, like it really makes drawing Mobius like be what the game is in some match.
Mm-hmm.
Like for this low key matchup, it's literally who draws Mobius. If I draw Mobius, I'm snapping usually. If I have an okay hand, if I have it turn two, I'm snapping that. You know what I mean?
Nice. Okay.
So like, I feel like it's just based on that because like other times when they take your cards, it's a rare chance you're gonna win if you don't have that Mobius down. I won't lie. You know what I mean? It's a strong card. We can't lie about that.
Yeah.
Uh,
Okay. Hold on. I want to jump off something you mentioned there, which was, if I got that Mobius turn two in the Loki matchup, I'm snapping. Are there any other
yeah.
matchups where there are easy triggers like that? Because one of the things that I think a lot of people watch these videos for is to get like kind of an idiot's guide to the deck. And if you have any
Yeah.
other like things that you see where you're like, aha, I'm snapping that, they love that.
Okay, so usually I don't know if this I'll kind of get into it slowly. I feel
Sure.
like when I'm opening my hand, the first thing I want to do turn two is silk.
Okay.
So if I have Craven in my hand, if I have anything else in my hand, like it's silk number one most of the time. Like 9 out of 10 times I'm putting that silk down. And I feel like from there, once I see, I have a clear setup for crossbones turn four, and then my board is just set up at that point, I'm usually comfortable. I feel like usually by turn three, turn four, I'm probably gonna snap if my board state is set up the way I wanted to when I have silk down. If I have even like I don't even need to have Craven down, I feel sometimes when I'm snapping early. It's just being able to foresee that you're able to put that power down is really important.
How willing are you to snap into Eliath 50/50s?
Uh that's a good one. I feel like I'd be down. I've been down before.
Okay.
I feel like it's also a priority game though. I'm not gonna be
Yeah.
snapping an Eliath 50-50 if they have prior because it ain't really a 50-50 at that point.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, but yeah, I also wanted to mention, I know this is off the question, but I wanted to
Shoot.
mention like, earlier I think we all seen this deck like in top 100. There was a Galactus Vision deck. I think
Yeah.
you know what I'm talking about. There
I
was a
do.
Galactus Vision
I do
deck.
know what you're talking about. That actually
Had had
came from
Orc
one of
in
my
it.
videos.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It had Orca in it. It was doing all these
Yes.
things, very annoying to play against. And I
Yes.
remember when I played against that deck, that was like that was when I kind of first saw like how well Vision works with Alive. You know what I mean? Like,
Yes. Yeah.
and it's a really interesting synergy with the
Yep.
deck. And I think that leads me into saying that like the main cards in this deck that carry this deck would be like Silk Crossbones together, like they live off each other in this, and then it would go into Vision Alive. You know what I mean? Like these are
Yeah.
kind of our two like power punchers, if you would say. You feel me? Like
No, it makes sense, right? Like you have Silk Crossbones because the Silk lets you play the Crossbones in whatever lane while not devoting a ton of power to that. And then you have Vision Eliath because Vision lets you set up these absolute locks that people just don't expect.
most definitely, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I do want to ask you about the Eliath though, because you mentioned, all right, maybe I want to put Legion in here. I know Landy has been thinking like, all right, let's cut Eliath for Legion, right? Would you
I
say just
think,
don't do that?
I think he ended up cutting Miles for
Mm.
Legion, which I actually like. I also like Miles too, because like I feel like now it's a little more safe to play Miles. Like we're not really playing competitively, so it's like I'm fine playing a Miles. If I get Mobius, I get Mobius. But I feel like
Yeah.
if you want to play this deck like in a tournament setting, I think maybe Legion might be the better pick for Miles, most definitely.
Here's a question:
Uh,
Have you missed having a second one drop?
most definitely, yeah.
Yeah, that's one of the things that like stuck
Unlit
out here is like, damn, I really wish we had one of those.
for sure, yeah, most definitely. Uh, but it works. Like it really feels. it feels like very clean. It feels very tight. You know what I mean? Like compared to the other
Mhm.
list, it feels like I remember I took out Arrow,
Yeah.
and Arrow just is in my opinion pretty shit now. You know, and it's
I
a pretty
thought she was.
dependent.
Hold on. I thought she was pretty shit when you were running her in the first place. Come
Yeah,
on.
but I was cooking with her. Like she was winning me games. You know what I mean? I feel like now I feel like she is shit. I'll agree with you. You feel me? Like she
Okay.
been shit.
Okay. Okay.
If I'll be
Okay.
honest, I'm just winning games with her, so it's like I'm gonna keep her in there. I got her
No.
ink too. Like, come on
Oh
now.
yeah. No, I have so many from when she was good, so many incredible arrow splits. I
Right.
just never get to use
It's
them,
hard.
dude.
It's hard to give it up, man.
It sucks. It sucks.
But
All
I feel
right.
like I
I'll
just wanted to
continue.
say once, man. I feel like Arrow is a very like it's very dependent. It's like a very dependent card. You know
Yeah.
if that makes sense.
You need to
It's a
set it
card
up
that's
and it needs to like not be like you need to A set it up and B your opponent needs to not know you're playing arrow.
right, and it's dependent on what they play, where they play. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
As like vision is very you're controlling vision,
Yeah.
so I feel like it's an easy swap, very easy
Yeah.
swap.
No, that makes a ton of sense to me actually. Like I've been a vision truther for almost a year now.
Most
Like,
definitely.
I've been a vision truther since he was a 5'7" and Captain Marvel was a 5'6". Like I've been a vision truther since I was going Shuri vision into leader. Like I like that is what I do. Like I have been a vision truther. He is so phenomenal because he gets your opponent in these situations where they aren't able to know that they're dead, but they are, and he just has this
Right.
massive cube equity because of it. Like he's so
Exactly.
awesome. He's
Most
so
definitely.
awesome.
Most definitely. And once you put him on the board sometimes, like it can really be just him being played on that board could really make the whole game like
Yeah.
a one out of three for them. You know what I mean? Where it's
Yes.
much more clear for you what you're gonna do. So
Yes.
it's a crazy advantageous card to have in the kit
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. If you wanted to put a second one drop in, would it be for Miles or would you just not do it?
I wouldn't do it.
Okay.
To be
Why?
honest, I wouldn't do it just because if I were to put another card in here, it would be Legion. I feel
Okay.
like while I do miss a one drop, I like I've never felt like I wish I had another one drop. I would have lost the game if you know what I mean. Like it's not like a deal
Gotcha.
breaker like that.
All right.
It's just cute. You're able to move Silk a little more and all these things, and
Yeah.
you know.
I mean, you that actually is like a lesser part of this deck than it is the other move decks, right? Because like instead of being like I get my power from moving Silk, you're like I get my power from Crossbones and Vision. Like you're not
For
doing X
sure,
plus ones. Yeah, you're doing like just four on four, 5 on 5 instead of 3+1 on 4 kind of stuff.
yeah, most definitely.
Yeah, that makes a ton of sense. Okay, do you have anything you want to promote done the end of this? You want to shout out your Twitter? Spell it out, by the way. People are going to need you to spell it out. I can tell you that right
Shout
now.
out my, shout out my Twitter. Okay, let me pull up. I forget my Twitter handle. Hold
Yo. Okay.
on. Okay, I think it is LUV love underscore
Mm-hmm.
Otion. OTION. Love
Perfect.
Otion.
You'll be able to find that
That's
in the description, by the way.
so.
All right, Otion, it's been a pleasure to have you on. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. And of course, I will see you on ladder for the 100th time, presumably, at some point. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate it. And to everyone watching, I will see you in the next one.
Hell yeah, I appreciate it as well, man. Thank you.
All right, y'all, that's going to be it from me. Thank you so much to Otion for coming on the channel. And of course, a huge shout out to Crossbones for finally being useful after almost a year of being complete crap. Sorry, more than a year of being complete crap. I'm very proud that our boy is finally getting his 3 days in the sun. I cannot wait to see if this deck manages to continue being good after something like Elsa Bloodstone comes out. But for now, at least, for once in his entire lifespan, it is not embarrassing to play Crossbones Thank you so much again to Otion for coming on the channel. And of course, to everyone who made it this far in the video, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you. I know I missed a couple days of streams. I've been dealing with some pretty heavy personal stuff, but I am back streaming at twitch.tv/KMBestMS. Thank you so much for bearing with me. I will see you in the next one.